This is the Fantasy Roadshow.
What's going on? Welcome in to another episode of the Fantasy Roadshow. We are here today talking divisional playoffs. You know who I am. I'm Truck. I'm joined as always by Kulz and Shane O'Mac. You can find us on Twitter at fantasy_trucker, at S_McCormick_FF, at Kulz_sports. Make sure you follow the show while you're at it, at Fantasy Roadshow. Check us out at Fantasy Roadshow on all platforms. Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. I got to get the whole rhythm down of that spiel, but you find us on all platforms.
We are joined today by special guest Tony Romo McCormick.
Yeah, going with the I've got the 3/4 Tony Romo / Jim Nance.
Got the collar
Yep.
nice. Under.
Looking
Beautiful.
spiffy, Shane. Looking spiffy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Talking divisional round today. That's right.
That is right.
We recorded an episode releasing Monday, and we talked divisional round, and then realized it was going to be released after the fact. So figured it would be best to chop that and then get you guys some content of the games, our thoughts on the games here today. And we were talking about it as well. What we were viewing, how we were viewing the games on Monday is a lot different than an hour before kickoff. So we got a lot more, information and just more educated views on the game. So take it over, Truck. Let's get into it.
Yeah, absolutely. The first game we have on the slate, it's coming up soon here in about an hour. We got the Texans going to Baltimore, taking on the Ravens. I am so excited that this is the first game we're getting to watch for this divisional round because of what we saw last week from C.J. Stroud. I have high hopes. Do I think they're going to be able to win? Not really. I think Baltimore is just a powerhouse, best defense in football. The weather isn't great in Baltimore.
Yeah, I was gonna say let's kick it over to the weatherman, Shane O'Mac.
Let's
winds,
hear the weather forecast, Shane.
Winds that was what I heard early. I don't know if the wind is an issue.
Winds are like 15 to 20, so it's not terrible. No precipitation, which is fine.
Okay.
I don't think it's a heavy effect on the passing game as what it could be. And so it's not as big a concern for me as what it definitely could be this time of year.
Yeah. I saw that the point total here on DraftKings is up to 10 now, and that's kind of what I was hoping to see. If you were planning on taking the Texans, getting it at 10 is a lot different than 9.5. So that is, that's a good number there. But the one thing I was worried about was the weather. If it was going to be one of those windy, cold games in Baltimore, it's already a rookie quarterback on the road, rookie head coach against the best defense in football. Really tall task for Stroud. That being said, he's passed every test to this point. So, can he keep it within 10? I like those odds, right? So that's kind of my thought there. But Lamar Jackson, he is, I believe, 1-8 against the spread over a touchdown at home, or is it just total? The last time, or the only time he covered that was week 1 against the Texans. So obviously the Texans are a whole different team than they were week 1. Over the last 3 seasons, he is the worst quarterback out of 32 as a favorite more than a touchdown. So,
I personally took this bet, Houston plus 9.5 early on in the week, thinking the line was going to change. And it's alarming to me because 70-80% of the money is on Houston plus 9.5, but the line never changed all week. It even got better for Houston. Mike just said it's plus 10 now. So I don't understand why. Kulz, can you explain to me why the line was not moved by Vegas? Are they just confident in this line? And
lines are moved based on how much money is coming on each side. So a lot of money is coming in on the Ravens late. I know tickets early in the week were on Texans. So, if 10,000 people like yourself put $100 on Texans, but some big groups betting 7 figures coming on the Ravens, then that number is going to move, Not
Yeah.
necessarily. It all depends. It depends on what how much action the house is taking. And sometimes they, sometimes they will take a stance on a game. And then you can see that based on the fluctuation of the money. But in this specific case, I don't know. I haven't checked what like
the details.
You got to look at percentage of tickets and percentage of money, and then based on that, you can read kind of what their stance is. That being said, in the playoffs, they let it they don't really cap anyone, and they just kind of let the chips fall out as they are. But anyways, I think we should, for next season, we should figure out if we're going to include gambling content. And if we are, if we're going to give out picks, I know Shane O'Mac was kind of giving out free picks with Sports Ethos this year and had a good record. If we plan on doing that, which maybe we should, we're going to have to have a whole conversation around it. Because I don't want to just blindly give out picks, right? That's
of course,
that's really that's irresponsible. So, we'll have some sort of accountability, and whether it's a contest between us, but these conversations are important to have if we're going to do that. So if we want to make that an identity of the show, great. I would love that. I'm all about it, as you guys know, but we should definitely talk through that kind of stuff and inform the roadies, because that's kind of the name of the game, right?
Of course,
it's just a whole different angle. The importance of 10 and 9.5 is extremely significant, right? There's literally pro bettors that, for example, with this Chiefs game, they will take Chiefs +3 or Bills -2.5. It's that much of a difference to them, saying Mahomes will have to lose by over a field goal, as opposed to it's a whole different world. So
and that's where my brain doesn't go where yours does. My brain goes from I use the same logic and research from fantasy perspective, so I will tend to lean more on the prop bets, yardage, receptions, stuff like that, because that's where my strength lies in looking at historical fantasy performances and trends and projecting those trends forward.
Yep.
Yeah, it's very similar to the way we were formatting our picks for red light, green light. I was looking at previous last 3-5 games, 6 weeks. You're looking at their previous performances and seeing what kind of they've been averaging, what they're capable of, and kind of their floor. So I'm right where you're at there, Shane.
Well, let's break these games off now. Do you have any picks that you like for this one?
Oh yeah.
Truck, whoever wants to start us off. Let's pass it
Shane.
over to
Shane, kick it off for us, please.
So the first one I like Gus Edwards anytime score. So I think on DraftKings it was +110. So just for example, I'm looking at historical 3 out of his last 4, I think it was, he scored a touchdown in the regular season. They didn't play him in week 18. That 10 number in my mind lends itself to Baltimore being up in the third, fourth quarter, lends itself to more scoring opportunities and then more rushing opportunities. So that's kind of the first one that stood out to me.
It's +105 right now. I like Likely a lot this game. Edwards is out, or Andrews is out. Sorry. Andrews is out. I think Likely, who's been outstanding for Lamar Jackson, I just think he has another big game. He's a great receiver. I think his over under was at 38.5. So I like that over yards. I think him or Zay or both will score. So you can get those numbers at +145 right now. So if you put a unit on each of those, you can go 1-1 and still walk away. So I like those two to catch a touchdown.
Nice. I'm looking at CJ Stroud today. I think Baltimore does go up and CJ's playing from behind. And usually when that happens, you can end up with some positive stat line. His over-under for passing yards is at 235. But I was also looking at his passing attempts. They're at 35.5. And anytime he throws for around 35.5, he does average over 330 yards. So, averaging over 100 yards with the same passing attempts, I like the over on 235 personally.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you on the same thought process, Truck. I like Stroud over 1.5 passing touchdowns for the same thought process. Like they're going to be passing more. That's their strength, right? It's not running the ball. It's
Singletary has been as good as he's been playing. He is not their focal point at all.
No. So I kind of had the same thought process with you, as leaning to the passing touchdowns. Yeah, I think he gets 2 in this game.
Yeah.
Well, if that's the case, then I think we're all in agreement, especially now that you can get a +10. Texans +10 is probably the roadshow consensus play there.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
I love that.
Awesome. All right, let's move on to this next one. So I'm just going to come out and say this is my biggest smash play of the weekend is Niners -9.5. Now it's coming in at -10 in DraftKings. That number matters, but I don't think so as much here. I just think that the Niners are going to dominate the Packers. This is a team who has a bad taste in their mouth since last year, when they lost Purdy and ended up with no quarterback. Otherwise, they were going to be, looking to be a surefire Super Bowl team. And I think they've had the playoffs circled on their calendar since the beginning. I think the Packers are playing with house money. Their young offense has exceeded expectations. This team has exceeded expectations. Yeah, they looked great against the Cowboys, but the Cowboys are not the Niners. You're going to have Trent Williams with that boombox coming out at home with this team fired up, and they're going to just step on the Packers early and overwhelm them. And honestly, the Niners are going to be able to score, and I think pretty much at will on the Packers defense. I see this as one of those games where they put up over 40, and the Niners just kind of roll. So yeah, I like that 9.5, 10 now a lot. Probably the best of the entire weekend, even really from a prop standpoint. So
I can get behind that definitely. One guy obviously everyone should be looking at is Christian McCaffrey. His anytime touchdown, I think it's -350. He's definitely going to score today. And his rushing line is at 90.5, which he's hit that mark in 3 of the last 4 games. Packers have been a bottom 5 rushing defense throughout the entirety of the season. So I don't think that changes today. I think they run the ball a lot. I think McCaffrey is heavily involved. And I'm looking at a lot of his props today, mainly that touchdown and rushing line at 90.5. Shane, what do you think?
I agree with you, Kulz, on the 10, taking the 10, because I think more than anything else, this team, more than any other team, the 2 weeks off really helps them. They're a veteran team, so that doesn't hurt them. They get fully rested, so they're good to go. With McCaffrey, see what you guys think of this. This one stood out to me, kind of a contrarian play. I was thinking I like seeing the under 18.5 rushing attempts. Only 2 times in his last 11 games has he gone over that number. And if we think they're going to win big, do they work in more Mason, more Mitchell in the 3rd and 4th quarters where those rushing attempts doesn't get to 19 or more? Is what I'm thinking.
Yeah, I could see that for sure. I just think, I don't know. So for me, I tend to stay away from McCaffrey just because you've seen his anytime now go to -340. At one point this year, it was basically a pick 'em, and that was just, free money for people for 15 weeks. And he's just so overinflated to me now that I just kind of stay away from McCaffrey and look at spots elsewhere. So like Kittle, for example, I think his receiving prop is at let's see, 53.5. I think earlier it was like 48.5 when I was looking at it. But yeah, I like someone like Kittle, who is the heart and soul of that offense. You know, they're going to look to get him going early on in the playoffs because they have so much momentum behind his backs. When he is going, you see Kittle catch his first down and he's fucking fired up, getting the crowd into it. You know, you need that kind of attitude, that kind of that energy when you're trying to put teams away in the playoffs. So I like to look at outside of McCaffrey. That being said, like minus 340 anytime touchdown, you can probably guarantee or just put that into a like same game parlay and almost guarantee that that's a leg that will hit. So, you know, you have to have some serious, you have to be playing with a pretty big bank in order to take a minus 340 on McCaffrey to score. Not to say that's a bad bet. I think that's, you could safely do that in this game, but yeah, Shane, to answer your question, like I agree with you for sure. That game script makes sense to me. It's just not something I've looked into, to be honest. So I trust your stat of it hitting twice in the last how many weeks?
11.
Yeah. So like that's outstanding early in the playoffs, not wanting McCaffrey to, you know, kill himself in a game that they have handily. I think they're going to win by 3 touchdowns. I really do. So I looked at the alt line on that spread and it wasn't anything great, but yeah, I like, you know, I can't speak higher on the Niners in this game. The other one I do like is Musgrave. His over is 19.5, which that to me, that number is just so low still from him coming back from injury. But from what I've seen, they've been working him into the offense more because he is a good pass catcher. 20 yards is nothing. I think he's going to cover that. I could probably pull up some stats on that real quick too. You guys,
for him, that's basically one seam route almost.
Yeah,
and
he get that in one play.
Yeah, and Kulz, I was with you. That was one I had. But I had it on receptions. It's only at 2.5.
Yeah,
which is
I like that as well.
Extremely low. Like last week, he had such a limited number of routes run and snaps because it was his first game back, and he still, like, I think had 33 yards receiving in that game against Dallas.
Yeah. So I like that one a lot. It's probably my favorite prop of the game for that one. So I would say my favorite bet of the weekend is minus 9.5, minus 10 now. And then my favorite prop for that game is Musgrave over 19.5 yards. Niners allow 48 yards per game to the tight end. 22 tight ends have hit this against the Niners this year. More so for me, I think that number's low based on him coming back from injury and how they're adding him into the offense. More of just like a logical football, what I've been seeing watching the Packers. So, you know, they're going to be coming from behind in this game, throwing the ball, and Musgrave needs to catch 1-2 balls to hit that 19.5. And like Shane said, 2.5 receptions. I think you're safe on either of those.
Yeah, I like that. I do also like Jaden Reed to kind of bounce back this game. Last week, he had a dud of a performance, but prior to that, those last 3 games of the season, I mean, he was on fire, over 50 yards each of those games, one game over 100, multiple touchdowns in that span. I think he comes back into form today. The 39.5, you know, I'd probably take it, but it is the highest yardage total for the Packers. But I do think with the Packers going to be losing in this game, almost guaranteed that Jaden Reed's going to get the ball thrown to him quite a bit. So I do like that 39.5. I like Jaden Reed to bounce back today.
Cool. So it sounds like we're all on board with the Niners points. And then, yeah, I mean, anytime scores, like I always like Ayuk. I don't know. I like what we've talked about here. Debo's an interesting play here against that Packers D. Debo's
who
been
does
so
who does
good.
Jair Alexander focus on, or is he just kind of all over the place?
Yeah, I don't think you can focus on anyone in a game like
because
this.
if you do, then the other person, like if he's on Debo, Ayuk's going to have a great game. If he's on Ayuk, Debo's going to have a great. There's just too many weapons. Too many weapons for the 49ers.
Yeah. Cool. Well, let's talk Bucks Lions now.
Yeah. Baker and the Bucks taking on the Lions in Detroit.
What do you like? Who do you like to win this game?
Straight up, I think the Lions are going to win. I think.
Shane, what about you?
Yeah, the Lions. Yep.
Yeah, I have the Lions too. Numbers at 6 now. I think Bucks at 7 would have been interesting.
Yeah.
Almost still like it at like 6.5, but
it's at 6.5 on FanDuel.
Yeah. What do you think? How does this game play out? I think it might be a shootout. Those
I think so
secondaries
too.
are so bad. So I like looking at those Baker over passing, and maybe Godwin over receiving, Evans to bounce back and score a touchdown. Those are things just off the top of my head.
Yeah,
Gibbs, I think Gibbs gets in the end zone. I just, for some reason, I feel like Lions want him to start to reach that ceiling that we talked about on our running back episode, which is that out or is that next
Monday?
No, which will be Monday. Out. She'll be out Monday. I think they're going to want to see Gibbs, like unleash Gibbs now for this playoff run. So,
yeah, I'm in this game. I really love the passing and receiving props. I just think it's going to be a high scoring game. I think there's going to be a lot of passes coming from both teams. I love Baker. I love Goff, Mike Evans. I mean, you name it. I think I'm pretty confident that most all of them are going to hit their lines.
Mm-hmm.
But there's going to be one that doesn't. Obviously, that's always how it goes. But I do like the passing attack in this game heavily. Shane, what do you think?
Yeah, me too. I kind of honestly, I like both quarterbacks passing over. I think they're both set at 1.5. Those stood out to me. Rashad White's receptions, I think, was at 3 or 3.5. It was at 3 earlier in the week. I don't know if it's gone up, but at 3, I mean, that seems like a slam dunk for me with him, as much involvement as he has in the passing game.
Yeah, on FanDuel they have him at 3.5 right now.
Okay, so it's gone up a little bit.
Yeah, but like Mike Evans 4.5, that's his line. Like I'm taking the over on Mike Evans 4.5.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, Evans, Godwin. I like that Baker. It's like 250. So I think we're all on the same page there. I like Gibbs' score anytime touchdown.
Yeah, I'm still sticking with the David Montgomery anytime touchdown. I just I love that bet. I've hit it quite a few times, and I'm still going to ride that out.
Cool. Now the most probably controversial game, or at least the closest in spread. It's 2.5 Bills right now.
Yeah.
This is going to be an awesome game. I can't wait to watch.
I love that it's the last game too. Like the first game with it being Houston, possible. What are they going to do against the greatest defense in the NFL? And then now you have the rematch of the Chiefs and the Bills in Buffalo this time. Josh Allen has to just be salivating at this matchup, being able to play at home, considering the outcome of the last 2 times they played in Kansas City. I just think Josh has such a chip on his shoulder. Yoshi has got such a chip on his shoulder that the Bills win this game. I think the Chiefs. I know the NFL script writers want Taylor Swift at the Super Bowl, with the Chiefs, but I don't think they get there. I think the Bills win in a close fashion. I think it's going to come down to the wire, and Josh Allen's going to get it done.
Yeah, I like Bills as well. I just think they're playing better. I think the Chiefs are kind of exposed this year. Like not a rebuild, but kind of a rebuild. Losing Coach B, they haven't looked great. So I just think they're vulnerable for the Bills to come in, who's been hot. Bills have been playing playoff games for the last 8 weeks.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, they had a 6% chance of making the playoffs at one point in the season.
Yeah, I mean, they've been rattling off wins at backs against the wall, and they've been winning. And ever since they made that coaching change with Brady at OC, they've implemented the run game and have made James Cook a lot more of a threat. So I just like the Bills to continue rolling at home against the Chiefs, -2.5. Josh Allen, I mean, he's just been outstanding. Like Kincaid to score again. To be honest, on the other side, I like Rashee Rice receiving over.
Love Rashee Rice. Yeah,
he's been awesome, and seems like he's the only wide receiver that Mahomes trusts. So you know how Mahomes gets, especially in these playoff games, when he trusts someone, he rides them hard. So Rashee Rice over receiving would be the prop that I lean to.
I like that because I think is it Benford, their top cornerback, number 47 for the Bills. He's questionable, so they're decimated on defense, like their linebackers, but also then their top corner is. So I think if for some reason he doesn't play, that just is a smash spot for Rice.
Yeah, I like it either way, just from like it's going to be a shootout, or like I don't know if it'll be high scoring. It's going to be a shootout in that they're going to be slinging it. I imagine it'll be high scoring, but you never know. These games sometimes get like weird and could be like a 27-14 type game. But regardless, there's going to be a lot of yards picked up and a lot of slinging the ball. So, I think it'll be high scoring, but with the weather and, those teams can just get a little bit, it's not necessarily always going to be that 38-35 game that we've seen them play. So, but yeah, I like Bills.
Yeah, I also like the Josh Allen rushing over. I think it's at 42.5.
That was the other one I liked, is the rushing attempts over. It's at 8.5. So 9 rushing attempts. He's gonna, if it's third down and he's 3rd and 6 and he can get that with his legs, he's gonna do it every time in big games like this. So the rushing.
What was that yardage total, Truck?
42.5.
Oh, yeah. Well, we saw him last week get it on one run.
Yeah. 53-yard run, touchdown run. Yeah, I mean, that's what he's capable of. I'll take that. I think he's going to be running a lot, using his feet to get the first down. So I like that one a lot. Shane, who do you have winning that game?
I've got Bills.
Okay.
I just think, I don't know. I think what I said before, like they have been for 7 straight weeks in playoff mode. The switch to the new offensive coordinator has made a huge difference. I mean, yes, they're decimated on defense, but this Chiefs offense isn't the same Chiefs offense as we've seen in the past. So it's in Buffalo finally for once in the postseason. Yeah, I just think this is the time for Josh Allen. It's a statement game for him.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more.
So it looks like from a pick'em standpoint, we're all on Ravens, Niners, Lions, Bills. So chalk.
So all the favorites.
Chalky. I hope it's chalky just so we see the best games next week.
Yeah. Seeing the Bucks in the conference finals or the Packers, it's just not going to be a good entertaining game. So I agree with you. The better teams need to win today, and those are the favorites.
Yeah. Yep. Awesome. Well, yeah, and then from the spreads, it sounds like we all like that 9.5, 10 for the Texans, the 9.5, 10 for the Niners. Bills -2.5, and then Bucks. I mean,
what's the Bucks line at?
6.
That's a tough one for me. I don't know if that would be.
I'll make a stance, and I would take the Bucks +6. I think with as high scoring as it's going to be, as a shootout that it's going to be, I just think it's going to be a close game. I think the Lions end up winning late in the fourth, but I do like the Bucks to score some points against that not so great Lions defense. So I would take the Bucks +6 or 6.5 on FanDuel.
Yeah, I think I agree, but I think in order for that to happen, Baker's got to play a really good game.
He's been playing great lately.
So, as long as the Bucs offensive line can play well against Hutchinson and that pass rush, that'll happen.
Was that lineman Tristan Wirfs? The guy's a beast.
Yeah, Wirfs.
Beast.
He's athletic,
so,
yeah. I'm just really excited to see and hear though that atmosphere in Detroit.
Oh my God! Did you see? This was the second most expensive divisional game football tickets in NFL history. Like those tickets were going on sale and they skyrocketed for this game because of everything the city's been through and stuff. So
yeah, I think it ended as the most expensive I saw yesterday.
Oh yeah. Wow, yeah, rightfully so. I mean, I work a lot. The company I work for is in Michigan, so I travel there quite a bit. And I talk to some of the guys, and they are amped. It's crazy. And then all the famous people turning out, showing off their Lions fandom is pretty fun to see. So
yeah, I saw cool. I love these kind of stories, but I saw these 4 guys who were diehard Lions fans. They're in a little group chat, and one of them was like, "Hey, putting together a parlay. If all it takes is $50 from each of you guys, and if we hit, we'll be able to afford to go to the game." It was like 50 to win like 850, and it was like a ridiculous like NHL parlay or something on like a random Wednesday, and they hit, and then they ordered tickets right away, and like saw the screenshots of their group text placing the bet, and then ordering the tickets, and it was like, oh, good for them. They're gonna have an awesome.
That is a feel good story. I've ever heard one.
They're gonna have a great time tomorrow. So yeah, I'm excited for these games. I think we're good, right?
Yeah, I think we're great. We appreciate everybody out there watching, listening, and enjoying the stream. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel for all of our future content. Other than that, be safe, enjoy some football, and buckle.
And to sign us off, Shane O'Mac, we need him to get out of here so he can show off his hot dad look on the streets of Wichita.
Watch out.
Watch out. Shane O'Strutting. Shane O'Strutting over there. All right, guys. Buckle up.